Hey guys, let's get more news about Miami Dolphins, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Kelly, Dolphins rebuild got derailed with 2021 draft class opinion. Exactly when did the latest Miami Dolphins rebuild get off its track? That's an important question the organization's circle of decision-makers should be asking themselves before scavenging to put a job-saving run together this offseason. Read more at https://www.miamiherald.com/sports/spt-columns-blog/omar-kelly/article 299749424.html #story link =CPY. Clearly the coach swap, going from Brian Flores to Mike McDaniel after the 2021 offseason, was the first hiccup. But I would argue we saw the first derailment months before that. While there are massive misses and second-guess specials in the 2020 Dolphins draft, it's hard to argue against a draft class that produces 6 NFL starters: Tua Tagovailoa, Austin Jackson, Noah Igbinoghene, Robert Hunt, Raekwon Davis, and Brandon Jones, 5 years into their career, even if more than half of those players are starting for other teams. Sometimes that's just part of doing business in the NFL. The Carolina Panthers wanted to pay Hunt $100 million, and the Dolphins couldn't afford it. Replenishing the roster with young, inexpensive players with upside is how successful franchises build solid foundations, and Miami has failed to do that during this rebuild, which was led by general manager Chris Grier from its start. Allow me to argue that this rebuild officially got off the rails in the 2021 draft. The 2021 draft class was the last of the treasure chest of draft picks the Dolphins squirreled away for the purge of 2019. That was the year that followed the tank for Tua draft class of 2020, and these were supposed to be the finishing pieces for Flores' team, which had just been enhanced through free agency the year before. It was a pivot, time to win, season, with the expectations being that Miami would build on its 10-6 finish in 2020. But Grier and the team's talent evaluators bobbled the snap with his very first draft move. Miami traded down from pick number 3, which they had previously acquired from Houston for sending the Texans stud offensive linemen Laramie Tunsil and Kenny Stills, a starting receiver, 4 picks and a collection of players not worth mentioning anymore since most were space fillers. Miami sent pick number 3 to San Francisco, putting the 49ers in position to draft quarterback Trey Lance. The Dolphins then moved back up the draft, going 12-6 by packaging one of its first-round picks to the Philadelphia Eagles and selected Jalen Waddle. Pair Waddle with a 2022 late-round first, pick number 29 they got from the 49ers, and that was the last of the gifts that unloading Tunsil provided. Problem with that approach is that the Dolphins could have stayed where they were, pick number 3, and selected Ja'Marr Chase 5th overall. Anyone with eyes knew Chase was going to quickly become a top 5 receiver in the NFL, and the Bengals weren't going to pass up the opportunity to reunite him with Joe Burrow, his college quarterback. Waddle has had an impressive NFL start, but Chase is arguably the biggest young stud in the NFL that's not a quarterback. Miami then took pass rusher Jaylon Phillips with the second of 2 first-round picks that year. That pick was on brand for Grier because he drafted an athletic freak at a premium position and overlooked his durability/medical issues. Phillips was the first pass rusher taken that year, going ahead of Kwity Paye, Colts, Peyton Turner, Saints, and Greg Rousseau, Bills. My main objection to that selection was that it should have been tailback Najee Harris, who was taken 24th overall. Tailback was an even greater need for Miami at the time, but the Dolphins stuck to their board, which I respect, and even though Phillips has battled injuries throughout his career, he flashed the potential to become a difference maker. Questioning that pick would be irresponsible because injuries happen to every team, and sometimes they have more to do with bad luck than short-circuiting bodies. Phillips isn't why the 2021 draft class derailed this rebuild. The rest of this class is. Miami selected the first safety taken in 2021, drafting Jevon Holland with the 36th pick, and he has had a lukewarm Dolphins career the past 4 seasons. Holland, who will likely become an unrestricted free agent later this spring, where he's expected to sign with the highest bidder, will probably go down in history as one of the greatest teases the franchise has had on defense in decades because his skill set hasn't matched his production. Then Miami started feeling desperate, saw a run on offensive linemen happening and traded the 50th pick in 2021, and a 2022 third-round pick to the New York Giants to move up 8 spots to select Liam Eichenberg. The Dolphins had fallen in love with the former University of Notre Dame standout at the Senior Bowl and just knew Eichenberg would become a reliable NFL starter. It only took the Dolphins 4 seasons and 52 starters at all 5 positions for the franchise to realize Eichenberg was a swing and a miss. No offensive lineman in Dolphins history got more second and third chances than Eichenberg, who was a disaster in 2024, consistently rated one of the NFL's worst offensive guards the entire season. Miami then targeted what they thought was going to be Mike Gesicki's successor in Hunter Long, selected in the Boston College tight end with the 81st pick in that draft. Long sparingly contributed for 2 seasons before Miami packaged to the Los Angeles Rams in a trade that delivered Jalen Ramsey to Miami. During his 4-year NFL career, Long has caught all of 8 passes for 68 yards and no touchdowns. That's another swing and miss. Miami also selected offensive tackle Larnell Coleman and tailback Garrett Dokes in the 7th round, and both had a cup of coffee with the Dolphins, and one other team in Dokes' case, before eventually exiting the NFL. That draft class also featured 3 picks that got swapped for veteran players, a 4th-round pick for Lynn Bowden Jr., a 6th-round pick for Benardrick McKinney, a 6th-round pick for DeAndre Washington, a 6th-round pick for Adam Shaheen, a 7th-round pick for Isaiah Wilson, and a 7th-round pick sent to Washington for unloading Eric Flowers on the Commanders, who all were duds. And the biggest problem is that 2021 draft class isn't even the worst of Grier's work. The reason this recap of the 2021 draft is important is because the Dolphins have another treasure chest of 10 draft picks this year, one that features 6 selections expected to be among the NFL's top 150 picks. If the Dolphins have another draft class like 2021, it will basically guarantee we're headed towards another massive reset as an organization, and hopefully this time it will be led by individuals who are actually good at drafting. Marcus Mariota emerges as a backup option, the Splash Zone, February 4, 25. Welcome to the Splash Zone, the quickest way to get your day started off right. We bring you a rundown of Miami Dolphins news from the last 24 hours. The Miami Dolphins are entering a very important offseason with jobs on the line. If the Dolphins cannot find the right pieces to add this offseason, Chris Grier and Mike McDaniel may be looking elsewhere for jobs next year. One position they have to get right is the backup quarterback spot. After trotting out Tyler Huntley, Skylar Thompson, and Tim Boyle this season, it is imperative the team finds a capable veteran to back up Tua Tagovailoa. According to reports, the team may have their eyes on Marcus Mariota, who is more than capable of stepping in when the time arises. You can check out that story here, and the rest of the day's roundup below. Another name surfaces in Dolphins' search for established number 2 QB, Miami Herald. The Dolphins reportedly have Marcus Mariota on their radar in their search for a backup quarterback. Miami Dolphins and the idea of trying to trade for Myles Garrett. The Miami Dolphins are no strangers to going after big-name veterans. Miami Dolphins OLB Jalen Phillips working his way back. Phillips is making steady progress in his recovery from his latest significant injury. Anthony Weaver likely sticking around. Miami Dolphins news, February 3, 25, The Phinsider. Welcome to the Splash Zone, the quickest way to get your day started off right. We bring you a rundown of Miami Dolphins news from the last 24 hours. Olympic sprinter Noah Lyles trolls Tyreek Hill following race, The Phinsider. Noah Lyles has sharp words for Dolphins wide receiver Tyreek Hill following win at New Balance Indoor Grand Prix. 2025 NFL Free Agency, Miami Dolphins review Siren Neal, walk, tag, or re-sign? The Phinsider. We start our 2025 edition of the annual look at the Miami Dolphins' soon-to-be free agents with cornerback Siren Neal. ESPN's Adam Schefter links former first-round quarterback to Miami Dolphins and Las Vegas Raiders, the Phinsider. Could Marcus Mariota be Miami's solution at backup quarterback? 2025 NFL Mock Draft, what could a Butkus Award winner do for the Dolphins' defense? The Phinsider. Would a stud linebacker next to Jordan Brooks unlock the Miami Dolphins' defense? Kick of Destiny, Eli Manning vs. Peyton Manning, who will win? The Phinsider. The Pro Bowl games brought Eli Manning another win over brother Peyton Manning. But what will happen with the Kick of Destiny? Verdict: we are all crazy, the Phinsider. Miami Dolphins give their opinion on the future direction of the team. And you, fan? What do you think of the Marcus Mariota situation? Leave your opinion in the comments.